on? Yes, I'm on. welcome to the Naoto's Nerdy Power Hour. It's been
That's the name of the show.
it's been a while. Welcome. This is the once a month type of the live stream show that me, Naoto Fujimoto at Knifewear is the we'll be talking about some like nitty-gritty, very nerdy stuff about Japanese knives and sharpening. Today's topic is the difference between sharpening carbon steel or the stainless steel, or if there's any difference. I think it's really
that might be the Shyamalan twist at the end. They're the same.
Yeah, it's a very interesting topic, I think, and I did a little bit of research, and I have some theory on some things, and but
yeah, it's a question we get an awful lot from both sharpening nerds and just regular folks, and we're excited to answer it today.
Yeah, so that's what we're gonna focus on. We also have a few, I also have a few new stones that I've been testing for a little while, so I want to actually show you a little bit, so we may be able to carry them in the near future. Also, we do have a few announcements, I think, to make. I don't know which order we're gonna go with.
Whatever order you feel like, Naoto, because I can only remember one of them.
Okay, you know what? Because you're looking at it right now, the T-shirt.
Oh, yeah, that one.
Yeah,
that's a big one.
This good one. So Masashi Yamamoto-san is celebrating. He's one of our favorite blacksmith. He is celebrating his 10th year anniversary as I guess starting his own journey. He's been working as a blacksmith a lot longer than 10 years, but this is 10th year that he started doing his own thing, so that he's going to travel across the world, starting here in Calgary. So it's kind of fun, right? So he's gonna actually stop in Calgary and Toronto in Canada. He will be here on late September. Yes, the 20. Can you remind me the date, Nathan? Oh, there's Nathan behind the camera, so he's gonna help me.
I'm back, y'all. Yeah, I'm just looking it up, but he's gonna be in Calgary in one of the last days of September.
I believe it's either 28th or 29th.
Yeah, that'll be the 28th. He'll be in the Calgary store.
Yes.
Around noon, and then he will be in the Toronto store.
October 1st.
October 1st.
Right after the Orange Shirt Day. So just easy to remember. So he'll be starting his world tour here in Canada, and he's off to Europe from there. But we're very excited to host him here in Canada, or only 2 North American stops, right? It's like sorry for the American users, like Taylor Swift never really came to Canada except one stop she decided.
This is our small revenge for all of the incredible musicians that never come to Canada or only go to Vancouver and Montreal.
Yep.
We get all the Japanese blacksmiths.
There you go.
Sorry, guys.
Anyways, jokes aside, and another announcement is that we did just have another incredible knife, I guess, sharpener, not necessarily the maker, but knife sharpener, entrepreneur. He has like a lot of great ideas of knives and stuff. Takayuki Shibata-san. He was just here in Calgary, so as in a Vancouver store, and there was a big hype about his invention, the Tinker tanks and Tinker knives, the tanks, and the Barracuda teeth. For those of you who's watching, is this the first drop-in announcement? Is it?
This is the first one, yeah.
Okay.
If you're on the website a lot, you probably saw it on the front page already, but we have not announced this anywhere.
Okay,
yet.
So this is the first announcement that we have 3, one of each of Tinker tank, Tinker mini tank, and Tinker Barracuda teeth, one of each for a draw. And here's how you can enter to win the chance to buy one of these. So what's the rule, Nathan?
Good segue, Naoto. So yeah, head to knifewear.com. There is a link in the description of this video. It's also pinned to the front page of our website. And basically, you can enter your name for any of the three. Here, we'll do the hands shot there. You can enter your name for any of the three. And if we draw your name, you have the chance to buy that knife. You have a few days to buy it. So you can enter now, and you can enter all the way up till September 1st. On the 1st, we're going to be live with Colin, doing some cleaver and wok cooking. So at just before 2 p.m., we will draw the winners for this, I guess, opportunity to buy these knives. And you'll have until Tuesday, because it's a holiday weekend, so you'll have until Tuesday, September 5th, to grab the knife if your name is drawn, until we draw another name. And if that knife doesn't get snagged over the weekend, then you might get a chance to get it if you missed out originally. So yeah, these are super rare knives. They're tough to get, and so we found there's no perfect way to give folks a chance to buy these. Our waiting list got to be about 100 years long. That's not an exaggeration. So yeah, this is the way we do it now.
Yes.
I am a bit hard to hear. Thank you, Grant. I will I always knock my audio levels down quite a lot because I yell into my microphone. Let me know if that's better, Grant, or if I should kick them up some more.
And hopefully you can hear me okay. I am doing YouTube voice. Okay, so that's an announcement. Again, check out our website, and there will be a whole bunch of details there for you to take a look at. Okay, Tinker knives are great. We did while Shibata-san was here, we did the brief interview, and we heard really good story about how he came up with this type of knives, and the story behind it, and techniques even actually goes into this knives. It's incredible. It is true that often imitate it but never duplicate it, especially it's true for the tank knives, because there are a lot of knives around now that it looks like a tank from I guess looking at from the one-dimensional, but yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah, they've got the silhouette, but not the full geometry.
Exactly.
Which is one of the things that makes the Tinker knife so special.
Exactly.
All right, Naoto. So what are we talking about today?
All right.
10 minutes in. Let's get to the topic of today's live stream.
So again, welcome to the Naoto's Nerdy Power Hour. Today's topic is the difference between sharpening a stainless steel knife versus a carbon steel knife. If there is any, I have a good theory. I came up I'm kind of prepared when I'm doing this live stream. So I'm here a little bit prepared, and I have my theory, but not sure if it's true or not. Okay, so that's how we're gonna test and how we're gonna talk about.
And I'll grab. We got some tomatoes in the fridge, so I'll grab some tomatoes at the end. We can.
Oh yeah,
we can do some side-by-side testing.
Awesome.
Cool.
Awesome.
So what are we actually gonna do as far as sharpening goes?
So what we're gonna do is to sharpen two knives on the same stones, and also for those of you who don't know what the actual difference are. Nathan, tell me the difference between stainless steel and carbon steel.
God, you're putting me on the spot.
Yes.
Well, both types of steel have carbon in them.
Yeah.
But stainless steel contains chromium, which doesn't it take up the available space on the iron molecules that can oxidize?
No,
Okay.
chromium.
Screwed up already.
That's okay.
It makes the steel stainless.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's pretty much it.
And it used to be the rule that it made it softer and crappier for knife making, but that's not really the case anymore.
No, so chromium is something that it acts, and they like to kind of anything on Earth, like steel and as such, would like to oxidize. There's enough oxygen. Oxygen was a poison for a lot of animals when it was first started.
The great oxygenation event.
Yeah, it's like oxidization was actually bad. So anything that you discover and unearth them has been oxidized. That's why iron ore has been oxidized. So you have to take those oxygens out, then make it steel or iron. And that's one of the reasons why steel or the regular iron or steel would like to go back to its original, which is oxidized steel. Anyway,
Right, it's like entropy. It's a state of lowest resistance.
yeah, they would like to rust.
Gotcha. Okay.
So chromium also would like to oxidize. They like to, get together with oxygen. But when the chromium does, get together with oxygen, the chromium, makes a very thin film on top of the steel. So that oxidization of chromium will ultimately prevent that steel from oxidizing.
Okay, gotcha.
Because basically,
so it protects it basically.
yeah, well, chromium is basically sacrificing himself.
Oh, I see. So it oxidizes so that the carbon doesn't.
Exactly.
Okay, gotcha.
Exactly. It creates a micro film. Anyways, and modern steels now have the not only chromium. Something like a Ginsan stainless steel is like carbon steel with 13% chromium in it. But modern steels like VG10, they have all other elements to it, like vanadium and other molybdenum, and some of them have tungsten and all those stuff. That makes the steel tougher, wear resistant, and also helps to make knife making a little bit easier as well. By tempering and quenching makes it a little bit easier, that kind of stuff.
Gotcha. Okay. So yeah, because every element that you add to the steel changes the chemical structure of it, obviously.
A little bit, yeah.
So that changes the properties of the steel. So is that then what we're going to talk about today? Does the chromium change the steel enough, or the other elements change the steel enough that it's going to affect how it sharpens?
And I also we'll talk about what we call it the carbides.
Gotcha. Awesome. So I'm excited. I guess to kind of jump us off here, Grant was asking for the two knives that we're sharpening, are the grinds similar? But we're not going to focus that much on the grind of the knife today. We're going to focus more on the very edge, right? And why is that?
So grind or it's really hard to do a side-by-side comparison. Today I'm going more, my focus is going to be more on the carbides, and ultimately I'm going to talk about the natural stones as well. So that the carbides, let's talk about carbides and what they are. Carbides is those elements, when they heat treated and they kind of heat it up, and those they like to stick and put the arms together to with the carbons to become a carbides. It's like an oxidization, right? Oxidization is those elements will put the hands together to become a oxidized. Carbides are ones that with the carbon. So chromium oxide, carbides, so although these elements...
so when another element bonds to carbon, that is called a carbide.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, gotcha. I know that much chemistry for sure.
And also they are pretty different carbides can be formed. There's a chromium carbides, there's the carbides that's, So any elements that may be in the steel can become a carbides. Not all of them become carbides, but any of them can become carbides. So some of them have different, I guess, the characteristics, right? Some are hotter than others. So
are they different sizes as well?
They could be different sizes.
Gotcha. So that's going to be the focus of today's sharpening. Okay.
Alrighty. So
are there big differences in the carbides between stainless steel and carbon steel as a general rule, or is it are the lines too blurry?
If you look at the carbon steel, more traditional carbon steel, white carbon steel, number one. So I should probably use a white carbon steel rather than this blue carbon. So blue carbon has that Can you bring Yuki? Actually, I'm gonna take Yuki. Yeah. So traditional carbon steel and in the Japanese, Shirogami series or white carbon series, they try to make it as pure as possible. So they reduce the impurities like sulfur and mangan in the steel and make the basically iron carbon, and that's it. Where stainless steel, they add all other stuff, right? So there is definitely carbides. Excuse me. There is a carbide that's made out of steel or the iron or the Fe and the carbon. It's called cementite. There is a form of carbides for the steel as well. But for the more pure carbon steels, that's about it. And blacksmith or knife makers, they try to minimize the formation of the cementite, and they try to make it all martensite. So it's slightly different. Makes sense?
Yeah, and is it possible to give it just a super quick overview of what martensite is?
Yes.
And why they want it?
So martensite is this, it basically entraps the carbon a little bit more. It still changes the structure once it reaches a certain temperature. Steel molecules will kind of opens it up, and when they are, it does opens it up and connects slightly differently. Like when it's like in regular formation, the one crystal will have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 8 sides with one steel elements in it. So that is a 5 Fe atoms in one crystal. And when it becomes a martensite, it actually expands and it makes it one. So it's a size. So on the crystal
Right.
here,
It's
it
the
will have
number. It's the number of
two.
atoms that are bonded to it.
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
Where when it becomes martensite, so I said 5, but it's not It's not really a 5. It's actually the 1 quarter, one
Yep.
quarter, 1 quarter, 1 quarter on each sides,
Yeah.
and 1 in the middle. Yeah.
Gotcha.
And that extends to slightly more on the sides, so that one crystal becomes bigger, so it can entrap more carbon. That's why it's hotter.
So,
But it's
so
not
the
the
end result.
carbides. Carbides are ones that Fe will electron bonds
bond,
with
yeah.
the carbon, right?
Right.
So that is a carbide.
Yeah. Okay.
But this is more Fe crystal.
Okay. Gotcha. And so, what's the for the functionality of the knife? Before we move on, what's the purpose or the goal of having?
So the
more
carbide is great. Carbide is great because it's so hard. But a carbide is not great for knives because it's very fragile. It's too hard. So where the martensite is really good, it's hard, but it's structurally very, it bonds stable, and also once you, I guess, heat treat and temper them, it becomes tough enough.
Gotcha.
So
okay.
here's a little bit
So
of
it's hard, but it's durable.
Yes.
Okay.
So you don't want to have just a carbide or knife made with the cementite. It's too hard.
Okay.
It's
perfect.
like cement. Anyway, so the steel, regular carbon steel, are mainly martensite and maybe some cementite, like kicking around here and there, like very rarely. But not all carbon can be used, right? Not all carbon can be entrapped. So some of the steels will become a cementite. It happens more on the stainless steel because it has more elements to it. So some leftover molybdenum or the vanadium or the chromium will basically become their own carbides. So it's like it has a little bit more carbides, like distributed.
And how will that affect the function of the knife if there are more carbides?
Some claims the carbides becomes a ultimate kind of serration, because these are like small crystal bits, kind of.
So
Like,
as you use the knife, they kind of fall away from the edge and create like a micro serration.
Or it's just like exposed just along the edge that becomes the edge itself.
Oh,
too.
I see, okay.
They don't have to fall off.
Okay,
right?
gotcha.
It can probably as you sharpen them.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to.
Okay, they just create a bit more roughness.
Yeah, exactly. So that's a little bit of difference. Okay, does it make sense? Any questions before I actually go into the sharpening?
Makes sense to me, and I struggle to understand this stuff on the best of days. So hopefully everybody else is getting it. But as always, folks, this is a learning show. So pop your questions in the comments, and we'll get to them. There's a few already. We'll get to those soon. But if you do have questions about this specifically, pop them in as we get going. So I assume that's like chocolate chips and a cookie, says John From.
Yeah.
Perfect.
But
Great
think about it, chocolate chip. It's more like a nuts and a chocolate. Because the
different size and structure of.
And well, I mean, it's a different thing, right? Chocolate chip on the cookies is more like a steel carbide, like a cementite, because it's the same thing, steel and chocolate and chocolate. Where the stainless steel is a whole bunch of other bits, like, I mean, like probably you put hazelnuts
like
and.
Some raisins and
exactly,
some
like other
pecans
stuff.
and
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So what's your theory as to how that's going to affect the sharpening? How are you going to sharpen those two different?
So again, my theory is that because of the different size of carbides, in order for the stainless steel to become very silky edge, I think it requires a little bit more step. To get the very silky edge where carbon steel or just pure carbon steel may attain the same silkiness at the little bit lower gritstone. Silkiness is not here. Here's what I'm gonna shoot. But silkiness is not the only sharpening, sharpness indication to the edge. Some people do prefer a little bit more toothy edge as well, but nonetheless, it's just really the difference, I think.
So if you are going for a smoother edge, this is
carbon
likely to be
steel
where
is
you
a little
find a
bit
difference
easier
between
to
carbon.
easier to attain. I think that's my theory.
Whereas if you're sharpening to 1,000 grit, they're probably going to sharpen similarly, very similarly.
Yeah, it's my theory. So
gotcha. And so we're using blank. I'm glad he made it today. Had a great little addition there. Then you have tungsten alloyed steels like Aogami 1, 2, or Super that have tungsten carbides also, and even a small amount of vanadium in Aogami Super. So for that reason, right, you're sharpening Shirogami white carbon steel today because it is the most pure and will give you the best idea if there is a difference.
Yeah. So I'm gonna start from the this. It happened to be here. It just came in for sharpening. Shirogami number 2, stainless clad on the outside. The Masakage Yuki Nakiri. The other one had a little chip, so I'm gonna stir. So I'm gonna do the same step. Okay.
Cool. If you would like your knives to be famous from being on Naoto's Nerdy Power Hour and you don't want to sharpen them yourself, you can send them in with our mail-in sharpening service, and Naoto will make them super sharp, and maybe they'll even end up on this show.
Yeah, I'm just gonna do that from.
So right now you're just starting the edge, real basic, beginner sharpening stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. While you're working on that, I'm gonna pop a couple questions if that's cool.
Yeah.
Kinetic Saiyan asked, "What is semi-stainless steel?" Because this is, I think, a term we've kind of made up.
Right. Well, semi-stainless steel. I should probably have some like. Is there any rags here that? Yeah. So semi-stainless, the term that we use to differentiate, steel from carbon steel to stainless steel. They're like basically what it is that the just wanna. It's a grade of how much chromium in the steel. Theoretically speaking, if there is a theoretically speaking, I think 11 point whatever percent, if there's more than 11 point some percent of chromium in the steel, that is considered to be a stainless steel. Where not all the all the chromium in the steel becomes a does not become carbides and it's a free floating, that becomes stainless steel. There are steels that actually has only like say 5% of chromium. That is not going to prevent the knife from rusting, but will definitely deter and slows the rusting process and it helps to patina actually really nice as well. So
It's kind of like when they say a jacket's water resistant. Like you still get wet, it just happens a lot slower compared to like something that's waterproof.
right. That's actually good analogy.
My favorite analogy. We've talked about this in previous episodes, but we can do a quick recap here. Zach is asking, what is the advantage of ending the sharpening process at 1,000 grit?
So the sharpening process is like sanding it with a sandpaper, right? Like if you start from something like this coarse, 220 grit, it will leave the edge really, really toothy. Toothy edge, if you think about it, like using say bread knife, or actually probably a good analogy is like a saw. These are really toothy, right? It doesn't cut as nice and smooth, does it? It kind of leaves a little bit more
It drags,
jaggedness.
but it also is better for cutting into like hard things because it grabs and it bites. Like if you're cutting wood,
Exactly.
you'll never get through it with a smooth edge.
But also, if you're cutting something really has a lot of juice in it and stuff like that, those will sever, or it kind of cuts into those cells.
Well,
And
similar to like how you use a saw for wood, you use like a toothier edge for like something with a hard skin, like even a tomato or a pepper. That skin can be really tough. John From said killer for tomatoes. Exactly. Really good. I mean, if you're butchering like a fish with a tough skin, like a pike, really good for that, or squash. Spoon Monkey said, if Ginsan is like carbon steel but with added chromium, why can't it reach a higher Rockwell hardness the way that carbon steels can?
I think we can. Also that's a balance, right? The Rockwell hardness scale, because the Ginsan reaches about the same Rockwell hardness scale as the white carbon number 2-ish, like 60, 61, 2-ish level. So that's basically all about how much carbon in it, right? The carbon entraps in it, like one of the max hardness with just the entrapped carbon hardness is about 60, 61, 2-ish. Where the other alloys gets a little bit harder for the other alloys are actually functioning to make it really hard, like other carbides. It's not like just a matrix doing that. The matrix hardness, what that means? I
have no idea what a hardness matrix is. Tell me.
So not a matrix. The matrix of that. Say if it's just the steel and the carbon. The hardness solely relies on the how hard the martensite is, and there's always limit how much carbon can be captured in this structure, and there's always the maximum number, and that is similar for the Ginsan stainless steel because it doesn't have other alloys, and where I think for the other alloys what happens and what can happen is that other alloys or elements is functioning to make the steel harder, I think.
Gotcha. Maybe our buddy Blank can help because he's got some great knowledge as well. If you're just tuning in, welcome to Naoto's Nerdy Power Hour. We're getting super nerdy today. We're talking about the chemical makeup of stainless versus high carbon steel and how that affects how you sharpen them. John From asked, hardness is more to do with heat treat, but how hard a steel can get also has, like, the way you can heat treat it is dependent on the chemical makeup of the steel, right? Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
So one depends on the other. And what happens, say you take a steel like Ginsan and you try to heat treat it and harden it to a harder point. Is that possible? Does it get super brittle? Will it not get that hard?
It doesn't get that hard. I think the maximum hardness that reaches, according to the Hitachi, the chart, the heat heat treating chart or the steel chart was about 63, the hardest. Then if you heat up, if you heat up from that point, it will soften. It doesn't reach, and also you have to be a little bit more careful, as if you heat up too much, the crystals becomes bigger. So it's like making ice, like if you're...
Right, you get to the point where like the crystal structure just isn't what you want.
Exactly.
Right? Okay, I think I got you. Cool. And just while you're working on that, so you're now refining those knives on a 1,000 grit.
Yeah.
Which is again pretty standard, something you would do for stainless steel, high carbon steel, anything really.
Absolutely. 1,000 grit is great. The great stone to have, if you're doing sharpening, this is a must-have. 1,000 grit is a must-have stone.
Yeah, like if I don't like answering the question like if I have to buy one stone, which would it be? Because it's better to have at least like 2 stones. But if I could only own 1 stone, actually it'd probably be 400. But 1,000 would be one of them. That's a contender for sure. I wouldn't be sad if I only owned a 1,000 grit stone. Just watch your head there, Naoto. Aaron. Shkoini, I hope I didn't mess up your name. Sorry if I did. I was just at your knife sharpening course 3 weeks ago. Learned a lot of new techniques. Nice. I'm glad to hear it. Yeah, we been doing those classes for a long time. They're such a great beginner way for people to get a handle on the basics so that they can then do their own learning and practice at home and get to a point where either they can just maintain their tools on a yearly basis, or they can go crazy and you tune into the show every month and learn some super over-the-top knife sharpening skills. It's a more accessible hobby than people think, and I always love to hear when people get into it. Blank had a point about saying, referring to, I think, semi-stainless steels, maybe, saying they get to a higher Rockwell hardness. Cryo, that's cryogenic treatment, right?
The cryo treatment is definitely going to... cryo treatment is it's not really... What I understand what the cryo treatment does is to makes all the so-called retained austenite force those retained austenite into martensite. So
it's like you're reading his comment verbatim, because that's exactly it.
So yes, so it is really to get the potential out of that steel, right?
Gotcha.
Yeah. So what it is?
You're just helping it along to help it reach its full.
Exactly. There is going to be a lot of even if you heat treat them at proper temperature and proper timing, there are a lot of steels that's very persistent. I'm not gonna become, it's like teenagers, right? So
that's a great analogy. I like your teenager voice.
Yeah. So
cool.
Yeah, like Japanese people in 1970s, they just put the heads down into the cold water. I'm just kidding.
I was worried about what year you were gonna say there. 70s is
70s
good.
Yeah,
that's
not
a good time.
Yeah. Put teenagers' head in the cold water.
Oh,
no,
I see
you
what you
become a martensite right now. No.
Yeah, exactly.
That's bad anyway. In Japan, yeah.
Yeah, my uncle was a hippie, and he went to school in Texas for a couple of years, and it was the same thing, except they were cutting off his hair. So, I get it. So yeah, blank said, I don't know, he was talking about ginseng, but yeah, that cryo treatment can help the ginseng reach its upper limit of hardness.
A little bit, yeah. Definitely, cool. It helps to reach its potential.
Gotcha. I've heard all this stuff a million times, but you and Blank are doing a really good job of helping it stick in my brain.
Thank you.
Thank you, because I'm so bad at remembering this stuff. Cool. All right, what are we doing now, Naoto?
Alrighty. So, after this, I think this is where it's going to start change and probably have slight difference on the edge. So I just did the white uki with the white number 2 carbon steel, started with 220 and finished at 1,000 right now. And I have Kotetsu R2 or the SG2 stainless steel, and I did the same thing, 220 and 1,000. Now, I'm going to put that on this 4,000 stone. And this is, I think, is going to start the little difference here. So what I'm going to do, start with the one that, Yuki, is that on the center? Is that like good?
Yeah. Okay, so now you're basically doing the edge on 4,000 grit here. Okay, cool. Sorry, I'm just looking at questions here. Blank Blank says chromium in solution causes more retained austenite, but you need the chromium for it to be stainless. Yep. Mm-hmm. Oh man, Aaron, oh man, you got a Haruki Shiso petty while at the store. Never owned a petty knife till now, and now I can't live without one. I got that exact knife last year. I'd been putting off getting a petty for about a decade, and
petty comes super handy.
It's so useful. And you think, oh no, I do everything with this chest knife. Like I don't want to spend the money on a petty knife, but you're just wrong. It's so useful.
We're getting the Tamahagane knives back. It is like one of those. We consider it as a machine forge. It's really well machine forged though. Like we went to the workshop and saw how they make knives and stuff. But I did their 120 petty at home. It's just so handy. I even like the other day I'm like, okay, I need to sharpen my santoku and I don't feel like reaching out for my 210. And then I was tackling on my cabbage. I'm like. Because that knife was pretty sharp.
Oh yeah.
And so
I just love my petty because I just like, there's often times where I'm like putting together breakfast or lunch and it's like I just need to cut like two things.
Right.
And I just don't feel like I need to pull. I don't want to deal with a carbon steel knife because I want to, and like Shiso's carbon steel, but like you gotta try to rust it. So yeah, I pull it out when I want a knife that like isn't fussy or. Oh, watch your head there, Naoto. In a real good view of your hairline. No thinning up there though. Your hair looks good. But yeah, no, a petty's just handy when you just don't want to use a big knife, or you just like need to throw together something quick.
Absolutely, I do love petty.
Yeah. Kinetic Saiyan's asking, can I sharpen a pocket knife the same way as a kitchen knife? Like the big strokes are the same. Like you're raising a burr.
Oh yeah, exactly.
You're sharpening an edge. The things that are going to probably change are the angle you sharpen at. Mm-hmm. Pocket knives tend to get more of a workout. If you're cutting a lot of cardboard or anything hard, you're going to want probably a wider angle.
Also, like you don't have to finish at a really, really fine grit like 8,000 or anything. I mean, you can. I mean, I know there are a lot of like knife collectors, like outdoor knife enthusiasts. They would like to finish their knives at very, very high grit, which I'm not disagreeing with, but
yeah, if you're doing extremely fine wood carving or you want to shave with it.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Totally, but
yeah, wood carving, like say for example, the if you ask any of the guys in Japan who does carpentry work, their chisels or their planes, they sharpen it at least like plane blades. I know they sharpen it at least like 8,000 grit.
Yeah, those planes are insane. But yeah, a standard pocket knife, like I finish at 1,000 grit at highest, often rougher. Like if I'm literally just cutting cardboard with it, 400 grit maybe.
So here, I forgot any testing materials.
Oh no, you just need paper for now?
Bro, sure.
Yeah, I mean, I'll grab you. How soon are you going to be ready to test on tomatoes? Because I can grab you some tomatoes too.
Oh, tomatoes fine. Yeah, tomatoes good too.
Okay.
Paper and tomatoes.
Okay.
So here it's really just
All right. Well, give us the lowdown on what you're doing to keep people entertained while I go grab you some testing materials.
I've got the testing paper in my station there, and probably a leather strap as well. And while he's getting those papers, I'm just taking the burr off very lightly. I have been actually doing this technique a little bit more by actually putting the edge forward motion like this way instead of this. I don't know if you could tell. So I am pushing into the edge. Into the edge. Instead of going the other way to remove the burr. Okay? I found this will, especially if you do it at the finishing at a little bit of lower grit, that will break off the burr a little bit easier. And stuff like that. Okay? Oh, there is a leather strap I see here. I don't know if it's... Okay, here. So now, I finished both knives with the 4000 grit. I'm gonna test the edge with the paper. Nathan, I don't know if you notice. I don't know if
Notice what?
This.
Yeah.
This to.
It's hard to tell.
It's hard to
the
tell.
The stainless does sound a little coarser.
Little bit.
But that could be my... Yeah, no, I think the stainless sounds coarser.
Yeah.
I don't think it's my mind playing tricks on me.
I think slightly coarser, yes. I think so too. I think it's starting to, the theory is starting to kind of, become more real, I think.
Sweet.
So it's the, carbon steel, especially white carbon steel, gets a little bit more silkier edge at the same kind of, sharpening technique. I am just, it's nothing, again, wrong with, like this edge either. But, so what I'm going to do is I should test right now on a tomato and see how it feels. Then I'm going to bring this up to a 6,000 and see if that works. Also, after that, I'm going to put this on the natural stone. And natural stones, for the longest time, people say natural stones doesn't work for the stainless steel knives. And see if that's true. And see if that, and I have my theory as well here. So the why the stainless steel, like natural stone, may not work on stainless steel. I have my theory. So, good? Good?
Sounds great.
Okay, so.
So you're going to set up a cutting board now?
Yeah, let's.
Okay, well, in that case, I'm going to answer a couple questions.
Yeah.
Because these are easy ones that even I can answer. Aaron was asking, can you use a petty for taking apart chickens in small butchery like a Hanasuki? Absolutely. However, it's not as thick as a Hanasuki, so you do need to be more careful around bones. If you're relatively skilled with butchery, or you're just careful and you know the obvious things, like, oh, those are some great tomatoes I got, hey? Ugh. Just throw it at the wall. Yeah, so yes, you can. Just be careful. Don't cut through a bone, because then you'll chip your knife. But you can totally do that. Damon Spector had a good question. I don't know the answer to it. Just asking, is disposing of sharpening water contaminated with microparticles of metal a concern to the local environment when sharpening on a professional scale? I mean, I would say not in comparison to everything else that we put into the water, like, fertilizer and stuff. But maybe. I don't know. Yeah, we have a pretty good water treatment facility here in Calgary. Hopefully they deal with it. I mean, it is technically organic matter, sort of. Not really. I don't know. I would suspect a lot of metal ends up just from like I bike through the industrial park over here, and there's just like shiny little glistening bits of metal in all of the gutters that get washed into the storm drain. So I think the amount of metal that we put into the water is not enough compared to anything at that kind of a scale. That's a good question. All right, Naoto, how are we doing? Testing.
Yeah, definitely feels smoother at the edge with the yuki here, slightly.
Watch your head.
Because it bites. Bite here is a bit smoother cutting in, and I can feel a bit more teeth here. I mean, it is sharp enough now that, you can do this, right? Should I be just like getting the roll paper and do this?
What's the point? Is that a real thing?
It's,
I see people do it on the internet, but I don't know if there's a point.
I don't know the point either.
Okay, gotcha.
Again, these knives are for cutting food with.
Gotcha. Not for slicing paper towel tubes.
So
as cool as it looks.
But so that's pretty good. What I'm going to do now is that I'm going to finish this kotetsu with the 6,000 grit, and see this. I can make this kotetsu, the SG2 stainless steel, closer to the yuki that I finished with the 4,000 grit.
Okay, right on. Now, Moz G31337 said, could use a debit in the same way as a Hanasuki to work with chicken. Would it be a usable tool or too much of a hassle for that job? Works great. Yeah.
I do use the small deba.
Not like a 180 or
not 180, 160.
Yeah.
I use like Kodeba, like 120 mil for chicken butchery.
Yeah.
It works really, really well.
Ducks, turkeys.
Yeah.
Does poultry really nice.
The petty, like I was like doing the preparation for the other stuff, but I use actually petty for chicken butchery as long as the steel is not hard. It still is too hard. It's it does the bad thing, right? So the one I have the petty from Tamahagane VG5 stainless steel. It's thick and it's one piece. It's not like dual piece. Or it's not the sanmai or the laminated steel. So it does have a little bit more flexibility, and the edge is really strong. So I actually use that to butcher chicken these days, which is not the best tool. I should probably get a Hanasuki, but
I don't know. I'm of different opinions. Like the best tool is the one that's closest to you sometimes, or the one that you already own. Sometimes I do want a Hanasuki, but I also have like a couple of traditional boning knives and a single bevel knife and a petty knife, and I kind of use all of them for butchering chickens.
Right.
So.
Oh, good news! For those of you who's left-handed and felt like those Hanasukis are all
who felt left out.
Felt left out. For those of you who felt like there's no enough left-handed knives from Japanese world, yes, that was true, and that is still true. But the Hanasuki, when it comes to Hanasuki, we managed to get a few left-handed Hanasukis from this company. So it is like more 60, 70 type of edge, but there are certainly a left-handed at the ground. And we have a few.
Yeah, Naoto's been working on getting all sorts of cool left-handed
kitchen shears too.
Things, yeah. Things that need to be left-handed, right? Like we don't necessarily need any left-handed gyutos, but
not so many,
left-handed
right?
single bevels and that kind of stuff. So stay tuned for that if you are a lefty.
Sorry,
no, all good.
I should have.
Blank said, where are we? One thing I've been messing around with more is plain leather for stropping, especially plain denim.
Yeah.
Plain leather and plain denim. What do you find? How do you like those compared to like suede or chromium oxide or anything else?
I don't particularly, I'm not a big fan of chromium oxide when I'm finishing my kitchen knives. It just makes it too smooth. Definitely great when you're doing the blaze, like straight razors or the plain blaze. That is designed to, instead of doing this sewing action, like this straight down action to scrape things, or the
Yeah, I would say chromium oxide is a must-have for a straight razor.
Yeah,
in
yeah.
my opinion, it just smooths the edge out so much.
yeah, where
And burr is not something you want when you're shooting
Yeah,
a straight razor.
where kitchen knives, the it is a little bit different. It needs still a bit of toothiness.
Right.
So yeah, leather's great. I do like the suede. Makes it a little bit easier to strap. It has a bit more. It's more forgiving, right? Because it's a little bit softer. It's like leather strap with the hanging leather strap. A little bit more like forgiving. But you know what the ultimate strapping tool is?
Naoto's leftover pants.
No. No.
What's that?
Hand.
Oh, your hand.
Yeah.
Like the palm of your hand.
Yep.
Right.
The,
Yeah, I've heard of some straight razor makers that finish their.
Yep.
their-
Yep.
Why? That just seems like something you do because you want to be a tough guy.
It's a leather.
I mean, it's like proto leather.
Yeah.
It's
it's
just,
not treated, but
Yeah.
yeah, the Mizochi-san does that, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he just like
Oh, the Kamisori maker.
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, he makes pretty good Kamisoris, so I
Yeah.
feel like I trust him. Blank brought up a good point about getting the smoothness on stainless steel. Said could also be because it's more wear resistance, which for the non-nerds means just like it doesn't wear as fast. It takes longer to grind or to polish. So because it's more wear resistant, it could take more time to polish stainless to the exact level.
that too. The wear resistance does come from those elements, though, right? Because these carbides and other elements makes them really more wear resistance. Basically, they don't like to be ground down as fast. What's the really good way to describe what the wear resistance is?
Like a good analogy?
Analogy, yeah, like same hardness, but one's more wear resistance than others.
Coming up blank, I'm really pretty good. Good. If you got a good wear resistance analogy, pop it in the comments. And keep the questions coming, folks. We're getting through our topic pretty quickly today, despite going off on tangents. So, keep asking questions. If you just want to learn some basic sharpening info, you're welcome to ask about it. No question is too beginner for us.
No. Okay, so. Now, I just finished this with the 6000 grit. That is a Naniwa Hibiki series, the 6000. Hibiki series is great. It does have the really nice, it keeps the flatness really nice and long. It's not necessarily the best stone to finish your Kasumi polish or the, try to get a really nice contrast between the, core steel and the cladding steel. But it is really good stone to finish your, say, for example, when you're sharpening a single bevel knives, this is fantastic stone to finish your back end, the uraoshi and stuff.
How's it feeling?
Still feel it's very close now. But still feel like the shirogami is a little bit more smoother, though. it may be good because the you know what, the kotetsu, Shiba finishes kotetsu, differential grit, but he likes the idea that the knife bites into it, right? So
Okay, here I got an analogy for you.
yeah.
Wear resistance is like the difference between grating mozzarella cheese and like really old Parmesan cheese.
Oh yeah, it's the same
Right.
thing, isn't it?
It takes more work, it's slower because it's harder. So it's harder for the teeth and the grater to get through.
I want to get the same thing though, because these are soft, like these are same ingredients, but the hardness is different too. So I want to get something. I thought of it something like but yeah, let's think about it. Some yeah, because it is not only the hardness, it is wear resistant. So, oh well, you know what? That's fine. So now I get the this whatchamacallit, the kotetsu pretty close to the or SG2 stainless steel, pretty close to the 4000 finished, the Yuki white number 2 carbon steel. What I want to actually take is this stone. It's mystery stone. We don't know which actually mountain this comes from. It's been around since I started it, so like 15, 20 years ago. It has a Nakayama on it, but Nakayama doesn't mean anything. Nakayama basically, well, Nakayama does actually mean something. Nakayama actually means that the mountain in there. It is a little bit hard. It's the Nakayama is in the Higashimono, so little bit hard. No, sorry. It's not Nakayama. It's Honyama, and Honyama doesn't mean anything. Honyama basically means the stone from that
Just
the
means
Kyoto.
Oh,
Yeah, the finishing stone from Kyoto. Sorry, Nakayama does mean something, and we will have some Nakayama stones soon. Stay tuned. But this is the Honyama. It doesn't mean anything. From my experience of using this stone, though, it does feel like a bit hotter. So I feel like it's either from like somewhere from Ozuku or something that along the west part of Kyoto, because it's a bit hard, so that it doesn't give really good slurry.
So you're gonna tune up the carbon and the stainless steel
Yeah.
with that. Okay. E30 Birdie said, talking about something I've kind of heard of, but not really. Really want to try basswood for stropping. More and more people are swapping to it. I use diamond paste when I strop it. I've heard nothing but good things about it on basswood. I wonder, is that similar to balsa wood? Because I know I've heard people talk about that. Is it the same thing?
I probably have, like, I've seen people strop in their knives on the diamond strops and stuff like that, diamond paste.
Yeah.
Again, it really depends on what type of edge that you're looking for. I do find a lot of kitchen knives, it doesn't really need that much of, fineness.
Yeah,
Except very few
I think
occasions.
I made this mistake a lot when I first got into Japanese knives and sharpening. Is I just thought, like, well, obviously you want to get it as smooth as possible because you want it to be as sharp as possible. And it took me a while to come around to the idea that, like, that's usually not the best end result. Like, if you are just using your knife in a kitchen on a daily basis for just chopping vegetables on a wooden board, like, you're gonna want something that's not the smoothest possible because that's just gonna go dull too quickly. Yeah. So I've kind of settled down for rougher edges, like toothier edges that give me more bite and stay sharp longer.
Yeah. See, this stone's really hard. You don't see like barely any slurries coming up.
No, there's nothing coming up.
There's like very light slurries.
Yeah, and it's like it's sort of showing up on camera, but there's a little bit of gray at the top of the stone. Yeah, but you can barely see it. Switch to the hand camera there. Okay, our friend Moz G's saying, I don't have a Hanasuki yet, and I just ordered a 180mm Deba for fish and chicken. Should I change it to a 150 or 165? I don't really cut large fish, but I would like to use it on a chicken too. I mean, if you're going to do like a salmon,
180 comes handy.
180 is handy, but if you're not going to do something that big, or you're just doing like smaller, like, steelhead and stuff and smaller things, you might want to switch it up for a 165.
Yeah.
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 I would go 165 as long as you're okay with knives that are like not tiny, because it's going to be a little more versatile, I would say. And then if you do want to do like a turkey or something, it's good for that. All right, basswood is more dense. Oh, it's used to build guitars. Huh, cool. Neat. Well, if y'all have more questions about sharpening, pop them in the comments. If not, then don't.
You want to do the announcements while I'm like finishing this up?
Yeah, I was going to
or?
say, if you missed the top of the episode, Masashi Yamamoto-san is coming to visit our Calgary and Toronto stores in about a month, just over a month here. And yeah, he's going to come to the Calgary store right at the end of September at noon on the 28th of September. And then he's going to be in Toronto. If you didn't know, we have a store in Toronto now. It opened back in June. And he's going to be there at noon, 12 noon, October 1st. So yeah, go visit. Go say hi. He is probably going to bring some specialty items, I think. We don't know exactly what. Maybe
we don't know exactly what. Yeah.
Hopefully. Yeah.
Hopefully we'll have something like as crazy as the his maguro.
Oh, maguro bocho.
Like Damascus.
Yeah.
Tuna.
Yeah. He does some crazy stuff.
60 centimeter long.
Oh my god. Yeah, it's his 10th anniversary of his solo workshop, so he's doing some exciting stuff.
2 feet?
Wow. Who doesn't need a 2-foot long knife for cutting apart tuna?
Right. Okay, so that's
cool.
Pretty good. I'm gonna start doing the doing this. So yeah, you can just get the questions and,
or so
the
Aaron, I missed this one earlier. Aaron said when I use my turning stone, it makes the surface of my stone slightly concave. Any techniques to help me flatten my stone?
Oh,
I mean, you could work the middle of the stone maybe work the middle of the turning stone along the edges of the. I mean, it depends on how slightly concave you mean. Like a little bit, unless you're doing like single bevels, is probably okay. But yeah, you could work a little more on the outside edges, just with the center of that stone to hopefully even them out. I mean, the best touring stone is the like crazy expensive diamond plates that we have, because they're amazing. They're so.
If
flat.
you wanna, I guess, reset the touring stone or stones, some people do put the very coarse sandpaper on sheet of glass or something.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah. So yeah, super coarse sandpaper, sheet of glass, and just flatten out that touring stone. Yeah, totally.
Or coarse countertop. I'm sure like those kitchen countertops like are pretty flat. I'm not sure how flat.
Yeah, my counters aren't very flat.
Yeah.
I was gonna say a sidewalk, but it also depends on your sidewalk.
Exactly.
Flat,
right.
Which my sidewalk also isn't flat. Mon G says, "Thanks, guys. Much appreciated. Love the show, and big hi from United Kingdom."
Oh, awesome. The Masashi-san is, I think, going to somewhere in London as well.
Yeah, on his tour. I think that's the stop.
On his,
that's his last stop, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're really excited to have him here. He was here last summer.
Yeah.
He's just such a great guy and makes incredible knives. So we're excited to see him again. The other piece of news that we have is that we have some Tinker knives available. They are, because we only have a few, we're doing a name draw as we usually do. So you can check out the link in the video description or head to Knifewear.com, and you've got 2 weeks to enter your name if you want to buy one of these. And on September 1st, right before our live show at about 2 p.m. Mountain Time, we will draw the names, and those will be the folks that have the chance to buy them. So if we draw your name, we'll shoot you an email, and you'll have until the following Tuesday to buy your knife. So if you want a Tinker Tank, Barracuda Hanasuki, or Tinker Mini Tank, that might be your chance.
All right. It is really hard stone.
Yeah, it takes a while, hey?
Yeah. To get the slurry out, yeah. So.
And so what's the goal here? Are you testing to see if you can get the same kind of edge on carbon steel versus stainless steel on a natural stone?
Yes.
Okay.
So natural stone. So for those of you who don't know what the natural stone is this, I guess, stone mine naturally in mountains. People actually go in.
Piece of mountain.
Piece of mountain. People go in and like get the rocks off from those places. Big thing about those natural stones, especially those finishing stones, is rare. A lot of mountains already been closed. A lot of mines been closed. They have different mountains. Different mountains have different hardness, different characteristics of stones. But it is natural thing. It's not made of, say, synthetic stones like the ones that I was using. They are made of so-called the adhesives. Putting those things together, and abrasives. And main abrasives are WA, or the white alumina, or alumina. It's like aluminum and aluminum oxide. Okay, and the other one is the green carborundum, or the GC, or the carborundum. So it's a type of carbon. It's the green. It's really nice and hard. White alumina. The alumina is a little bit slightly softer than the carborundum, but having said that, both are quite hard. Some of the hardness, there are a lot of different hardness scales, but for the stones, like Mohs scale. I don't know if you know the 1 to 10. The diamond's
like
been the
when
hardest.
people talk about diamonds being
The 10.
10 hardness,
Yeah,
whatever. Yeah, that's the hardness scale.
So that scale, both a alumina and the green carborundum is the 9.
Right. So
Really
pretty
hard.
friggin' hard.
Really hard, right? And where natural stones are not made of these stuff. Natural stones are made of the whole bunch of easiest way to describe is the crystals. The same thing as the silicon, SiO. Silicon with the oxide. Silicon oxide?
Yeah.
Does it make sense? It's the same thing as the crystals.
Okay.
Chemically.
Right. Okay.
So hardness is at the 7 most code.
Okay.
Slightly softer.
Yeah.
But because how it's been, it is inside of the mountains, so how it came about is the whole bunch of the, microorganisms were living at the end of the era. They were heated up, they were mixed it up, and they kind of formed this layers. And those
sedimentary stone.
Yeah, basically, yeah. And those crystals are basically their shells.
Oh. Cool.
Their shells are
So
made
they
out
got
of
crushed under the pressure of the mountain and then turned into this fine
sediment,
grit.
Yeah, it became sediments and and
cool.
some heats came in and that kind of stuff. So.
Yeah.
But the main thing that's grinding a steel is the silica, or the oxidized.
Okay, gotcha.
Same thing as crystal, right? It's easiest to imagine is you break this crystals into like super fine,
Right.
powder and stuff.
Yeah. So, same as how you have like diamond grit in some modern stones, right? Like it's just a very fine diamond. Okay, gotcha.
Okay, so the idea is that those silica, small crystals is grinding the steel, because that is harder than steel.
Right.
Or harder than
Gotcha.
glass too. So it can scratch the glass.
And now when we compare natural stones to synthetic stones, like synthetic stones, there's like two main components. There's like a base that forms the stone, and then there's the abrasive material that does the actual work. Are sharpening or natural stones like that,
Yeah,
or is it
it's
all...
very similar.
Okay, cool.
So harder stones, they are harder for the formation, or they're more compressed. So it doesn't expose as much abrasive out.
Right. So the base of the stone, not the abrasive material, but the base of it is harder than it is in synthetic stone.
Yes.
Okay.
And therefore, as you work on the stone, oftentimes when you're working on those natural stones, you hear, oh, you will need the mud to work on.
The slurry that builds
Yeah,
up.
slurry. The reason why is that the harder stone especially needs the slurries, because say when it's just come out from the stone, those abrasives are bigger. But as it mixes with the stone and keep working on them, it breaks it down to smaller particles.
Gotcha.
That's why
so they
harder,
get finer and finer the more time you spend on
that's why harder stones are believed to give much smoother edge. Because they have to work a little bit harder to get the mud out and break those mud into smaller pieces.
Gotcha. That makes sense. So you just got to put in the elbow grease when you're using natural stones.
And softer natural stones, they expose more abrasive faster, so it scratches steel faster, and they don't break down as fast. But
Okay, gotcha.
But it comes back. I'm gonna actually talk again back to the hardness. So again, as I said, the abrasives that's in these natural stones are mainly, easiest way to say, it's the broken crystals, right? The same kind of chemical component. The hardness is about 7 out of 10 Moscow. M-O-R-H. Most. That hardness scale.
Yeah, MOHS.
MOHS, yeah. So, what happens? Remember, back when I was talking about those carbides on the stainless steel. Tungsten carbides, vanadium carbides, and molybdenum carbides are all harder than the silica, the crystal. So they only work on the base steel on the stainless steel, but they do not grind, or they do not work for those carbides.
Oh, I see.
That's probably another reason why people say, oh yeah, it doesn't work for natural stone, doesn't work for stainless steel.
Okay, but would that in theory give you a toothier edge because you're leaving those carbides exposed?
Exactly.
Interesting.
Exactly.
Huh. So it's not that it doesn't work, it's just that it might not give people the end result that they want.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So now we're going to test?
Yeah, I'm gonna test.
We're going to see how coarse or how smooth or rough the... So we're doing the paper test first, and then we'll try on some tomatoes.
Don't do this at home.
Don't do what Naoto's doing. Why are you testing on your thumbnail?
Oh, it's very sensitive. I don't know if it's sensitive, but
Sure.
if
there's any grabbiness or whatever.
it has the toothiness left or things like that.
Okay, gotcha.
Some people do it this way.
Yeah.
Toru did it this way. I'm like, ah.
What? Okay, and what do you think? Are they different? Are they the same?
It's pretty similar. I have to be really careful.
We're gonna get kicked off YouTube for this, Naoto.
Oh, really?
No.
Okay, good.
But don't cut yourself, please.
No. It's very similar. Let's try it on food, because that's
that's the reason
the
for
thing.
kitchen knives.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
if it cuts food good, then that's all that matters, in my opinion.
Cool.
And we like tomatoes because that skin is kind of tough, and so
Cool.
it's just a good hands. It's just a good sort of litmus test of your edge.
You know what? It gives really nice smooth edge though.
Oh yeah? It's
Yeah.
pretty smooth? So we did find that on the 4,000 grit, I mean, this is not the most scientific test in the world.
No,
We got a sample size of 1, but we did find on the 4,000 grit that the knives were different. That the Kotetsu, the stainless steel, was grabbier.
Slightly, yeah.
Slightly grabbier. And what about 6,000 grit? Was it pretty much the same at that
It's
point?
pretty much, yeah, very similar at that point.
As the carbon steel on 4,000 grit?
Yeah.
Okay. And on the natural stone, what do you think, Naoto?
It's very. I don't know if that the natural stone that I use for this shirogami, it may have been a little bit harder. Because this kotetsu is super smooth.
Okay.
Yeah, like this kotetsu right now is really smooth.
Oh.
But it may be from the 6,000 finish that I put.
Right. Yeah, could be that. Could be the sharpening that you already did.
So it is really smooth. Oh, here. I guess we can test some other stuff. Like it's only 2-hour show, and
Yeah.
I brought the theory up, and I think it may stand.
Well, yeah, I think the basic theory, as far as like how synthetic stones, generally it seems like you need to take stainless steel to a finer grit if you want that smoothness.
That's probably true for that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Not quite sure about the natural stone
Yeah,
testing today
gotcha.
because
I mean, natural stones vary so much, so yeah, you'd have to try.
And,
I think a
this-
lot of different steels and a lot of different
yeah,
stones to get
and
a fair
especially
answer.
this stone that's like just saying Nakayama,
Yeah.
Honyama and kicking around.
Yeah. It might as well just say natural stone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll have a little bit more natural stones will be available, and we're probably going to cover that on the next or episode or something about natural stones. We just got
Yeah.
the whole bunch of the
Blank, you've been asking for 3 years for us to do an episode on natural stones.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah,
finally maybe going to happen.
we just got the natural stones from this company called the Kato Kozan, who was it? So Kato Kozan is this company, or the Kato-san's company that in Kyoto, who used to own the Nakayama, which is like very well thought after mine in Kyoto, and Hatanaka-san, the company, the partner company who were selling their Kato Kozan stones, they went out of business. So the many companies in the area in Kyoto, friends or competitors, but they're very small. They're in a small industry, right? So everyone knows each other. So one of the companies that we deal with, the Imanishi-san, bought a whole bunch of the stones from the Kato mine or Kato Kozan, and Kato mine's stones are really famous. It's called Nakayama, and it's got a maruka. It's got a sign as a ka, and it's a circle, and that becomes more rare and rare these days. So we have those stones will be available pretty soon after getting all the picture done and stuff. So yeah, those ones will be available. We were thinking of doing the test videos or something along the line so that we know how those stones work, which knives are good for.
Yeah, we
which-
might just have a sharpening
like,
jam and
very, very lightly, right?
do
So
a very casual kind of, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so people can kind of get a feel for them if they're looking to buy some natural
Exactly.
stones. So we'll make sure. I mean, that'll probably be next month sometime, like kind of
Maybe,
mid
yeah.
to late September, and Yeah, and it'd be a chance for people to learn some more about.
Don't tell me
stuff.
next month is September. Oh my god.
Yeah. No, I mean this month is August, so I don't think they changed it this year. Okay, we got a few more questions and comments. And then there was one more thing I wanted to ask you about.
Yeah.
Aaron just says thanks for all the tips. Nari was asking, when you true a fine grit stone, do you use a coarse grit flattening diamond plate or fine grit plate? Do you find a noticeable difference?
I do it from the course. That's why this I have in both sides. It's pretty similar right now, but generally speaking, I do start from the course so that it does the job faster. Then I flip and do it with the finer. If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I mean I used to do that. I would use like a a coarse grit plate and then like a Negra stone.
Yeah, and if you really like,
it does leave some
you could
scratches.
do that. Yeah.
Especially if you're working on like a straight razor or something really
Yeah.
fine. You gotta
And if you
smooth it out
really want to
afterwards.
do that, you can at the end you can true it with the one grit smoother. Like say, do it with this got like a whole bunch of things on it. Do it with the diamond.
Yeah.
And say if you're truing 8,000 grit, you can, take the 4,000 grit that's trued and do it.
Oh yeah, and I it's really important also to wash the stone,
Oh,
rinse
yeah,
it really
yeah,
well,
yeah.
because it can be
Not at this setting, but yes.
Yeah, exactly. Gaten was saying it seems to me harder to sharpen single bevel knives than double bevel knives. Would you say that's true?
Generally, yes, because the single bevel knives, when you're properly sharpening single bevel knives, here, you'd have to sharpen this whole bevel first, right? But in the bevel down, when I was just sharpening, doing this demo today, I was just sharpening like a millimeter, less than a millimeter off from the edge. Where single bevels, basically you have to put this whole bevel down and grind it. Also, so you have to grind a lot more steel off than the double bevel knives. Oftentimes, so double bevel knives, I do thin them, so that is slightly different. But that's really that's also the difference there too.
We did a video with Naoto, I think, late last year, early this year, called "A Comprehensive Guide to Sharpening Single Bevel Knives," and if you want to learn more about it, it's a great video to kind of understand the whole process, start to finish. John was asking, any advantage to natural stones other than they look cool and add more variety?
Definitely for straight razors. Again, those abrasives, that the small crystal type of stuff, they are a bit more mild. What that means is that it's not as spiky, it's not as aggressive as the other abrasives that use for the synthetic stones. Therefore, the completely finished edge with the natural stone will be more very hey Nathan, can you pass me that the broken bread knife? Edge part is fine.
Oh,
Yeah, this. So it would be like more this instead of traditional like saw type of edge. Like it's a bit more mild.
right.
So these edges are great when you're working to do this push motion. So like straight razors, you push it in, right? So that it doesn't scratch. Like, imagine doing this with a fork, you scratch it up your face a little bit easy. But if that edge of the fork's been like mildened or they round it, it's a little bit better.
That makes sense. Yeah, smoothness is really the key to a good straight razor
So
shave.
straight razor, this natural stone is great for that. So is the plain blaze, that kind of stuff. Definitely. Yes, there are some people find it makes the sashimi slicing really nice. But I really have to say it's not for everyone. It's
Yeah,
not for
if you just want
everyone.
to I don't really mess with single or natural stones because they're cool. but you have to be the kind of person that likes trial and error.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I like to find one way of doing things, something that works, and then never change that for the rest of my life. And if you're like me, you're not going to like natural stones, but if you like the experimentation and the messing around, you'll love them.
It is a really deep rabbit hole.
Yeah, never ending might be a better term for it.
Exactly.
Yeah, blank blank said, my experience of trying natural stones on steels, like vanadium carbide, it gives them a weird smooth feeling edge, and I don't like how that feels. So it fits perfectly. What you said today fits perfectly with blank's experience. Okay, this is our last question for the day, unless anybody else has anything to ask about. I got a question, but Lanessa says, do you need to use more pressure on harder stones or just more strokes?
Natural stones, you need more strokes. The generally speaking, the harder stones or the finer stones, I do push less, so that I'm just doing more just a stroke. Where the coarser stones, I do put a little bit more pressure. I'm doing more heavy lifting. It really depends, but generally speaking, though, what I'm doing on the like fine stones, I don't push down as nearly as much as 220 or 1,000 grit.
Gotcha. Okay. Stand by. Oh, we're back.
Oh.
Okay. Chat disconnected. Please. Okay. I think we're still live, sort of. Okay. Sorry about that, folks. Technical difficulties. If you are watching on YouTube, put a comment in if you can see/hear us. Okay. Yeah, that's... YouTube is not receiving enough video. As such view. Oh.
They just suddenly dropped?
I think we're good. We had some weird technical... I probably just kicked our power bar or something. Okay, great. We're good.
Okay, back?
Thanks. Sorry, guys.
Okay, good.
Yeah, so I was asking you about this earlier today. When we talk about knife sharpening, you know, the beginner level of knife sharpening is just sharpening the very edge, but what you're actually doing is sharpening the whole bevel, right? To affect the whole geometry of the blade. So, when you're sharpening carbon versus stainless steel, it seems like there is some difference sharpening the edge. Is there a difference when you're polishing or sharpening the bevel?
Depends on the type of, I guess, stainless steel as well. But the I found the stainless steel, say, especially the stainless steel, clad stainless steel ones, the hardness difference between the core steel and the outer steel is not as great. So they often polishes very similarly. Where the when you're doing a carbon steel and carbon steel core and very mild carbon steel on the outside, the hardness difference is huge. That it doesn't it makes it like easy to get the really nice contrast between the core steel and the outer layer steel. But it's so like say for example, I don't know, this one here is pretty like carbon steel stainless clad. This is pretty easy to get the I haven't done it much, but this one here is one of the easy ones to get a really nice contrast. Where if I were to do the same job for the this one, it probably polishes very similar.
And that's just because stainless and carbon steels polish a bit different.
Slightly different, yeah.
Is it does one or the other take more time? Like we were talking about wear resistance earlier. As a general rule, does stainless steel take longer to
polish,
thin out?
Yeah, or the polish, yeah.
Okay.
Thin out, definitely. I found the VG10 stainless steel is really, really hard. Although it's nice to have the outer layer steel so that it has a softer steel on the outside. But what I found is that often the one that I'm not sure exactly what stainless steel they use on the outside, but oftentimes, say for example, the VG10 like a Shun or the VG10 core with the Damascus on the outside. I found the outside steel has also the pretty good wear resistance, so that takes it a lot longer to be ground and thin as fast as the other stuff. So yeah.
Okay, cool. Jordan in our Vancouver store said, I've got an amazing looking core polish on a Tojiro Classic one time with a green brick. I was really surprised about that.
Green brick. Oh, he just like, that's that, eh?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
And John from was just asking, so a natural stone edge is similar to just a higher grit synthetic?
Think about this way. The synthetic stone, even if you go up in super, super fine stone, it still has that, I mean, you have to see it in a super, super small microscope, but theory is that the synthetic stones, like super fine stones, like even like 30,000 grit stone, you still got the little peaks and valleys, like little more peaks, where the natural stones, the peaks and valleys are more rounded. Peaks are not peaks. It's not like it's like instead of
it's like sound waves sort of.
peaks been just kind of ground down a little bit.
Right, yeah, they're smoother. Yeah, more like a bread.
So it's a smaller, so like
a
the
scallop bread.
30,000 grit synthetic finish is very tight.
Yeah.
Peaks and valleys is so small, but still peaks and valleys.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's what my take.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, one more question. Caesar Guzman was asking, during your garage sale, I bought the Tojiro Nakiri and Gyuto. Is there a dumb-proof way to find the angle for sharpening?
Oh.
I mean, the dumbest proofest way is to buy the sharpening clip that they make.
Yeah, they make.
The Tojiro toe grip. That's what I used. I did a knife sharpening basics video earlier this year.
Yeah.
Check that video, knife sharpening basics. It's on our super simple knife sharpening techniques.
Yeah.
Is on our sharpening skills playlist on our YouTube channel. And I go over 3 ways to find an angle, because the nickel angle is pretty reliable. Or get like the level app on your phone and just stick it on your knife. And
nickel trick is actually really nice.
Yeah.
If you haven't watched the how we do it, it's actually, I found it's one of the, and not because I work for this company, but I've seen a lot of knife companies, they say, you need 2 coins behind the spine, and doesn't really tell you how, what distance you need from the edge and stuff. And that our coin trick will tell you exactly where to set your edge on. And that, I thought it was like genius.
Yeah, totally. Okay, here's a good one from John. JD Skeen here from Ottawa. I have cerebral palsy, right side affected, so I can't put the same pressure. Do you think I could sharpen my own knives? I'm guessing, John, are you using since you're right side affected, would you be using your left hand to hold the handle of the knife? Because normally when I sharpen, Naoto, can you actually show us real quick so Naoto will hold his knife. I mean, you can even just mime it, you don't have to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So Naoto will hold his knife in his right hand.
Right. Better to have it something like this. Yeah.
Like that, and then apply a light pressure on the edge with his left hand. Now Naoto's using very little pressure there. When we say pressure, we're talking like we're not muscling through it. Like we're talking about just keeping the knife on the stone, and then a little bit extra.
You can definitely do that too.
Yeah. So John, I'm guessing you would probably do it this way, where you hold the handle in your left hand, and then you use your right hand to apply a little pressure. As long as you keep those right hand fingers and you apply like just a tiny bit of pressure, it's like as much pressure as you need to, I don't know, type on a touchscreen phone, or it's not enough to like press a button. It's not a lot of pressure that you need. So I think you'd probably be okay, but you could always pop into our Ottawa store and take a knife sharpening class, and we have gear there that you can use, so you don't have to buy your own gear, and then you can try the process, and then if you like it and you find it's not an issue for you, then you can go ahead with sharpening your own stuff.
Yeah.
If you can't apply as much pressure to it might just take longer. So if you're okay with spending a little more time sharpening your knives, then I think that would work fine too.
Yeah, it has especially synthetic stone, it has enough abrasive to it, so that
Yeah, especially if you're not going for like a crazy fine polished edge, like you'll be able to get a great edge, I think. Cool. Well, thanks so much for tuning in, for all your great questions. We had a lot of people watching today, so we always appreciate it. If you feel like it, give the video a like, because that just helps boost our content a little bit. We've got a new video that came out this week about Mutsumi Hinora-san, and
He's
just
in New
fantastic
York
knife.
right now, hey?
He's in New York.
He's in New York.
Oh. Yeah, so just him and his fantastic knife making and a bit of story.
Yeah.
And then we got one coming out on Monday. How to use a Tsujihiki. This is the first video we've done on the topic, but it's just like how to cut up a roast, how to cut steaks, how to slice up a watermelon. So that's gonna be a great one. With Mike, comes out Monday in the morning. Other than that, if you want to enter to win the chance to buy one of those Tinker knives, the draw link is in the description of this video. So you can check out the details there. And in 2 weeks, on September 1st, we're going to have our man Colin, who you've seen in probably a couple of our videos from the Calgary store. He's going to be here in the studio teaching us some Chinese cuisine basics. He lived in Hong Kong for a number of years and got his PhD in Chinese classical music. And so he knows more than most of us about Chinese food. And like, you know, I know about, you know, Canadian Chinese food, chow mein and, and ginger beef, but he knows about actual Chinese food. So he's going to teach us some Chinese cleaver skills and some wok techniques. And
Should we send
make
that video
three dishes.
to Uncle Roger?
Yeah, we
Yeah,
should send
we
it down. He can roast Colin. I think he's pretty impressed by Colin.
Yeah.
But I'd love to see Uncle Roger say hi a few times. So stay tuned for those. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel already, please do.
Yeah.
That's all we got for today,
Yeah.
folks.
Thanks for watching.
Yeah. Hope you all have a fantastic weekend. Take care. Go cook something tasty.
Yep.
All right.
Bye.
Peace.
Done.